Mark.
Yes.
Vroman?
Vroman.
I love it when two unusual consonants are next to each other.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so fun. I love saying delurps because you never get an L right after a D. I guess Vroman is a little more common than that.
Yeah, not really though. It was actually VROOMAN, but then everyone kept saying Vroman, so they dropped one of the O's.
Oh, is that Dutch?
It's Dutch German. Yeah.
Okay.
Good on ya.
Cool. Yeah, I went to school in the Netherlands a little bit.
Okay, right on.
So, and Tim, what's your last name?
Hart.
Far less interesting. Far less. No, no offense. No offense intended. But okay. Well, all right. Irish commoner. Now I feel like an asshole. you guys were selling slaves, and he was like losing people to the potato famine or whatever, right?
Or painting blue and hanging out in bogs, and then we were like dressed up in fur, swinging battle axes.
Oh, that's badass. So you guys are from Nomadic Customs?
Yep.
Which is
up in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And building a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. How long have you been doing it?
I've been hobbying around in all of this kind of thing for probably like 10 years, but officially as a business for like a year and a half.
Okay. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we're having a good time.
And we're down in Southern California right now. You guys have come down here to pick up some vans?
Yeah, we picked up one in the West Hollywood Hills and then another one down in Carlsbad.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What are they?
One's a Ford Transit. It's like the extended 148, I think.
Yeah,
and then the other one's a 159 ProMaster.
Okay.
So the slightly longer version of the one that you're gonna get.
Yeah, I want the little short one so I can parallel park and stuff.
Yeah.
And anything's gonna feel like a mansion compared to this little Metris. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what do you do for the company, Tim?
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Tim's got the Tim jobs. So
yeah,
basically,
Tim job. It's like Charlie work on It's Always Sunny. It's like we don't want to do that. It's like make Tim do it.
Make Tim do it.
The installation is what I've been like working on a lot. Been making templates so we can kind of streamline things, make it go faster, so we don't have to measure each panel every time.
Yeah, sure.
And then so we can just like make a list. I'm going to make a spreadsheet, and then we can just go through and cut everything out, paste it up.
You'll basically just have like a kit for each size of each van.
Yeah.
Will you build it? You're called Nomadic Customs. Will you build into anything? Or do you have like a set of vans that you prefer to build into?
No, we'll build into anything, but the thing that we seem to be getting the most are the 3 high top vans.
Right. The ProMaster, Sprinter, and the
Transit.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, ambulances, buses, hearses, like whatever.
Have you done a hearse?
I actually did a hearse a long time ago, probably like 7 years ago, and converted it into like a little lounge car. It had like purple velour, like pillowed like button seats in it,
crazy.
and like a full like martini bar made out of like this African rosewood, and it was pretty kick-ass.
Wow, just like some eccentric, like
total
novelty vehicle.
Full on. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What's your favorite van to build in? I know the answer to this, but
the ProMaster.
Yeah.
Why? It's squarer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Squarer. Yeah. And that's primarily it, but also, there's a whole bunch of so many opinions out there about what vans to do, and everyone's pretty tribal about why they've decided to go with what they've gone with. Mm-hmm. But from a building aspect, the ProMaster is the easiest because it's the squarest. And then also just find that you can do a little bit more with the floor plans because you can put the beds in a different direction, like perpendicular to the vehicle, as opposed to always having to run it lengthwise. And that's pretty much like the easiest parts, right?
Yeah.
So from like a builder's perspective, a little bit better on wire runs and chases to put wire runs through. But there's not a perfect van. All of them have like these different attributes to each one, and if someone were able to kind of mash them all together, then they would be like the van life dream. But I was talking to a friend of mine who worked as an engineer in Chrysler, and he was basically saying, like, you know, out of 10 vans on the road, how many of them have like business logos on them, and how many have like a Max fan and solar panels? And I'm like, yeah, it's like 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know? So the big auto makers, they're not going to go and totally change up their whole thing
to cater to our little niche.
Yeah. But then you look at our niche from our perspective, and it's just like people are buying vans left and right and turning them into homes, and our clients go everywhere from like full-on bug-out vehicles to like more of a permanent home to recreational vehicle on the weekends to, you know, full RV setup, but just something a little bit smaller that they can be more mobile in. So.
Do you find so your clientele is all across the board?
All across the board.
Do you find that you're having people? Do you feel like the traditional RV crowd is really starting to gravitate towards downsizing to a van instead?
I don't think so. I just think that the whole idea of, I think generationally, we're starting to get in, the boomers are starting to get into that kind of RV twilight place.
Sure.
And I think a lot of them are kind of, you know, reminiscent of the old VW vans and road tripping around. I think the millennial generation has been kind of forced into, because of, you know, the prices of property and houses and stuff, that they've been forced into looking for alternatives, which is why the tiny movement and van movement is so huge with that particular generation. I think with Gen Xers, it's kind of a combination of the two, you know, with added a little bit of the you know, having the money finally to afford toys. So I'm finding a lot of Gen Xers are the ones that are like, I got kiteboards and electric bikes and motorcycles and surfboards and just everything I want to jam into this thing. So it kind of circumvents you know, all generations, just kind of depending on what people are doing. So that's a hard one to answer, because then you look at RVs and the big square massive bus RVs, and that is also catering to the crowd that has always catered to. Sure,
snowbirds and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like vans are really particularly interesting to younger people, the millennials and stuff too, because the gig economy
absolutely
puts them like on. They sort of need to be on their toes, and like I know the job that I've got right now is over in April, and I have the burden of having to find something else, and I have the opportunity of being able to do it wherever I want to because I live in the city.
Right. And then I think also just the way that the institutions that we used to have, where you go in and you would get a job and you'd stick with that job for 20 years and have your retirement plan and your IRA and stuff. I think those things are kind of becoming a little bit archaic in the sense of, you know, you have a lot of people now that are actually, you know, our economy's not really creating those jobs that there were. Our lifestyle's been changing around the fact that you're going to have like 5 or 6 or 7 or 12 careers.
Right.
And not really be in that spot that we have been. So I think there's so many different elements to it. It's really fascinating. It's got multiple rabbit holes that you can get down to the bottom of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you're sort of doing, I didn't know this until a couple of minutes ago when we were talking, but you're doing a pretty good job of sort of diversifying. You've got a couple of other businesses that are totally unrelated to this, right?
Yeah, totally unrelated. Actually, I've always been a jack of all trades, master of none. But my official career, the thing that I did for the most time, was I was a rehabilitative therapist.
Okay. That has nothing to do with building vans.
It doesn't, no. But then, you know, it's all the different scratches that you want to itch, you know? Because I traveled around the world for about 15 years. So just have a fascination and love for travel, and back in the 90s, outfitted my pickup truck with all sorts of like hack ideas of awnings coming out of PVC pipes, and now I look at like the solar shower and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, fuck, I had that idea like 25 years ago, you know? So it's so cool to kind of see that all of this stuff is like actually starting to happen. And as far as like my story in that, I was a rehabilitative therapist, loved doing that because it afforded me large chunks of time. I've always liked to live my life in chunks. So I would go and work seasonally, and then I'd take a chunk off and go travel or take off and do things. So I've always had like one finger in one pot and one finger in the other pot. And then as far as like what kind of turned me more into just building vans is I had a pretty tragic accident happen about 4 or 5 years ago where I was snowboarding and crashed. Had like a really bad nerve injury that actually paralyzed the left side of my body for about 2 weeks. Whoa. And then it took me about a year of rehabilitation to kind of get to a place where I can move again and feel things and stuff. So that put me into a spot of like, okay, I need to put my eggs, a lot of different eggs in different baskets, and sort of buckshot all the ideas and passions that I had, which included travel and mobile and doing massage, solving puzzles, having a kind of an endless pool of information to be able to kind of educate myself with, so on and so forth. And actually, up to like a couple months ago, had this moment of like, wow, everything that I've done for work that has happened throughout my life has kind of come to this moment of me building vans. Yeah. And weirdly, it's ended up being the, not to be punny, but the vehicle of like, wow, this is like actually handling all of the things that I've ever been interested in.
Right.
Into like one topic. So I'm having a fucking blast.
Yeah, building vans is super broad in terms of the different disciplines that it requires and stuff. And one of the things that's blown my mind in terms of you talking about like, oh, I had this idea for this thing that turned into a refined product 20 years down the road. I had this idea before. One of the things that's really fascinating to me is how fast the sort of best practices are changing, right?
Yeah.
As you have this hive mind on YouTube where somebody like me, like my education is in the law, and like I built skate ramps when I was in high school, and I'm not a contractor or a carpenter or a plumber, but I had to learn all of those, a little bit of all of those, or an electrician. I had to learn a little bit of all of those disciplines. And I was able to do it because there are these tutorials and these people screwing the thing that I was about to screw up online. I was able to see them do it before I screwed it up. But even as I watch, this is, a year and a half ago that I built the van or whatever, as I watch the different things change, like I would never buy a glass mat battery today, But the wisdom, the conventional wisdom and the best practices are changing like lightning.
So rapidly. Yeah, it's almost like... I compare it all the time to kind of the laptop era of like the late 90s, early 2000s, where you would literally like go out and buy, your 2-inch thick Dell laptop, and then, 3 months later it would be like a 3/4-inch Apple. And then the next time, Apple would come out with an Air, and then now we're at tablets. Then we went to cell phones. Cell phones got small. Now they're getting back big. Now everything like your tablet computer and everything's in your cell phone. So all of that changed fast. I mean, you look at technology in the last like 10 years and how quickly it changed, and it's really kind of the same thing. And I agree with you. It's kind of because of that hive mind, Pinterest and Instagram, and just all the shareable things, that cool shit that people are out there innovating and doing and having fun creating,
Yeah.
But then there's always room for these improvements, and so it's cool in that regard.
And the person who makes the new novel discovery might be somebody who's totally unqualified, but just had the right the right idea because of some moderately unrelated like history that they have or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I've had discussions with Tim and a few other people about this too. But the one thing that is kind of great, I mean, is like to every beautiful gem, there's a dull gray stone, and the thing that is part of that whole thing is you have the people that are improving these ideas and happen to be in the right time at the right place and have the innovation to kind of move these technologies and make them shareable and do all that stuff. And then there's the other side of that where people are taking that and then saying, okay, well, I know everything there is to know about this because I did this one time. Mm-hmm. And so the folks that I hear out there that are like, yeah, I built a fully operational van in like 16 days on a $2,700 budget. Mm-hmm. It's all about them just getting like and followers. And because there's no possibility that's something that people can do. I'm sure going through your own build, it's like,
oh my god,
you go through version 1.0 and 2.0 and 3.0 and you're refining things and bringing stuff back. And
I spent, from the time I bought my van to the time that it was finished, which I've been improving and fixing stuff the whole time that I've ever since then, was 2.5 months. And I spent 14 hours a day for those 2.5 months just wrenching and I spent, we used to joke, I spent 90% of my time, I spent 80% of my time doing research, about 18% of my time fucking up, and 1% of my time making progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Crying.
I spent a lot of time crying and literally bleeding and stuff too. But it's so rewarding to do it. How big is your operation at Nomadic Customs?
To be honest, it's small, but it's like efficient. I got great people in the right places, like Tim. You know, it kind of seems like it seems funny to take a bunch of people that don't have much experience doing this to then base an entire business off of a bunch of us that don't really know what we're doing.
Right.
I know what I'm doing and stuff, but like Tim comes from a sound engineer background, so and has done some stuff with his own van, but kind of came to me saying, I want to learn about this.
Right.
And what's cool is that it's not the it's not like the cake that comes out at the end. It's and how pretty is it? It's like the ingredients. And I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say is like the guys that I have working for me, we all work really well together.
I feel like interpersonal chemistry and aptitude is like 90% of anything.
So
if you guys get along,
very well said.
It doesn't matter what his background is. If he's a sharp dude and you guys get along, you can accomplish whatever you know how to do.
Absolutely. Right? And then bounce off the improvement of each other in that process. So, yeah, well said.
All right, time to dig into Tim.
Oh, good.
What's your deal, dude? Where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm actually from northern Santa Barbara County.
Okay.
Santa Maria.
Yeah, we were just there. We showered in their PF.
Yeah. Been living in Portland for about 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why a van? What brought you to this whole thing?
I think I'm in that millennial category.
Yeah.
I'm poor and got really tired of the renting game.
Yeah, you're just burning money, dude.
Yeah, I had to move like 4 times last summer because people, I don't know, just shitty things happen, and then I got tired of that, and then a friend of a friend had this '89 Dodge, and it's just like, yeah, I'll sell it to you for like $500, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then started building that out in a shop next to Mark's, and then he came over and saw what I was doing, and I was like, yeah, I want to learn cabinetry, and like I actually really enjoyed this whole process, and I want to learn more about it, and like how to properly do it.
Right. Sure.
And like, yeah. And then Mark was just like, well, I can use some help over here, and I just quit my crappy pizza delivery job last month, and just started doing it full time.
Nice, cool. Tell me the sound engineering story. Is that school?
Actually, I never went to school for it. That's just something I wanted to do. And I worked in a lot of recording studios in Portland, but it just never panned out to be like, I never saw like the end of like it was gonna materialize to like a full-time thing.
Right.
It was always just kind of like freelance here and there, but I never saw a way out of my crappy like hourly pizza delivery job.
Right.
With that, so I was like, well, I gotta make something else work, and I enjoy doing this, so
right.
Should probably just follow that path.
How does that 89 van run?
Not the best right now, but with a little work, it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
Cool. I keep second guessing myself and planning for the next thing and all of that. And the last thing I wanted to do was put all this work into this van and get stuff working and then have it break down. But then, I was talking to somebody about the ProMaster, and they have this reputation, maybe earned or not, that the transmissions and the engines don't last as long as a lot of other things.
Yeah, I don't think Dodge is the best car company.
But one of our friends was telling me, he was like, I considered that. I wanted to build in the ProMaster because it's a square box. And I went to a mechanic and I was like, how much would it cost for me to replace this engine? And dude was like $12,000. He's like, if I have to do that in 200,000 miles, I'll just put a few dollars in the bank every month and I'll be able to afford it. And I'm going to save that much in maintenance over a Mercedes.
Well, not only that, but kind of where the whole wives' tale of that came from was the 2014 models and the diesel models used a different transmission. They actually used a Fiat transmission.
Okay.
And so they were crappy transmissions. And then Dodge put the Chrysler front wheel drive transmission into it. And then it totally changed. So if you...
And they did that in 2015?
They did that in 2016.
2016.
So if you drive... so if you drive, or you go for a 2016 or newer, that whole transmission thing is a different thing. Now, that being said, my buddies that's the engineer at Chrysler, Fiat, Dodge, he was like, yeah, your transmission's going to drop, but same thing. It's like 180, 190,000 miles it might drop, and it's like $3,500 to fix.
Yeah.
Compared to a Mercedes transmission dropping, which would be like close to 12,000 or 8,000 or 9,000.
Well, at my 30,000 mile fluid and oil change on this Mercedes Metris was $1,250.
Wow.
And so it's like
literally nothing wrong with the van.
There was nothing wrong. They just switched some stuff out, and I want to get it serviced there to keep the resale value high, as high as possible. But I'm about to drop another $600, I think, on an oil change next week. And so it's like, we're getting close to Dodge transmission territory already. There's only 45,000 miles on this thing. So that totally changes my mind about the whole thing. It's like, and you said they're zippy driving too, right?
Well, they're a gasoline engine, so they have that instant combustion, where diesel kind of has, if you really yard on a Sprinter, there's a little bit of a delay. And then, of course, got products that you can install aftermarket that take that delay out. But what's fun about the gasoline, whether it's a Transit or a ProMaster, or even your gasoline.
This is gas. I haven't perceived any.
Yeah, exactly. Then it just has a different combustion rate, so so it's going to be a lot more zippy.
So, how many vans are you doing? Like, what's your rate?
As far as
no, in terms of time, how many vans are you working on at a time? How long does it take you to put a van out?
Well, so this last year was a bit of a shit show because I just kind of buckshot and said I was a yes man and said yes to everything. So I think we built close to 7 or 8 vans in a period of about 10 to 11 months.
Okay.
Basically, I started last March, and what are we in January? So 10 months. We've done 8 vans, and then I did 2 prior to that. So, basically in the period of about a year to year and a half, we've done 10.
Okay.
So each van can take up to 8 weeks. So I've worked 7 days a week, probably 12 to 14-hour days for a year.
Jesus.
But
I'm sorry.
I know. But that being said, like I alluded to before, I've been having a blast. So it's like what I have fun doing, which sounds kind of morbidly weird. Or not morbid, but just kind of maybe stupid.
Sadistic. Masochistic. There we go.
Yeah, masochistic is a good word. Yeah, so it's been a little bit of a bout of masochism to make it happen. But what's cool is that now it's at a place where the next 6 builds are all timelined out, and we're still going to be pushing. We're still going to be busy, but we're at least
not as likely to get into like the panic zone or something like that.
Yeah, right? It's not going to be as stressful.
Yeah,
and so I think the first year was just kind of building up a portfolio and trying to get the name out there and trying to get some of that stuff started. I think that this year is going to be the real work year. But what's cool is that after this last year, I'm already in the black.
Okay.
Which most businesses take about 3 years to get there.
Great.
So if I can double down and do another year of busting butt, then I think next year we'll be in a really good spot where we're expanding and established. And I'm already 3 part-time permanent employees kind of,
right.
You know, and if we can get it down to where we're staging our vans, you know, in places where we're like, okay, all these are in installation stage, all these are in power and system stage, and all these are in finish stage, instead of just pulling one van and doing it from the start to the finish. End.
Yeah.
So this year is going to be kind of developing that kind of assembly line.
Sure.
So I don't really know.
Are you just doing the 2 at once right now? Or are you going to do more than just the 2?
No, we have 3 going at once right now.
Okay.
And typically what I'm doing is taking one full build on, one kind of progress or partial build, and then one sort of DIY assist builds where people were wanting to learn how to do stuff themselves. So I'll assist them and give them. You know, kind of almost like run like a shop class.
Sure. And
help people do their van, but not necessarily like dedicate all 4 or 5 guys to it.
Right.
But I made a little bit of a mistake, and I think I got a couple other people. Like we right now have 3 full builds, and
we just picked up 2.
Yeah, well, this is a progress build. So we have three full builds, and then we've got another 2 scheduled in about a month. So we're going to be really busy.
Yeah. Where would you like to see it go eventually?
You know, to be honest, for me, just be able to go to Tim and be like, yeah, man, you have 2 months off a year. I can pay you $30 an hour and give you a solid job. I mean, that's where I'm at with it. I love being able to be in that position of helping people out. Yeah. And if we can all kind of do things that we like to do and have a great time doing it. And I mean, we banter back and forth all the time, and we all have like a, you know, different senses of humor that we, you know, and, you know, I find too that when you suffer with people, you seem to bond a little bit more. And so, you know, Tim and I built a van out and enough to where they could go. So it had it had insulation, a power system, walls, a bed platform, a water tank, a refrigerator, lights, water pump, water filter, floor, and then a couple of movable chairs, and we built that in 27 hours.
Wow.
So, but it was like almost a straight 27 hours.
Gnarly.
Yeah. So it was gnarly.
That is crazy.
But we did that so that we could get some clients that overcommitted, so their date kept on getting pushed, and they're like, we've planned this vacation. So then all of a sudden I was like, okay, game on.
I have to do this right now.
Yeah. So it's great to be able to work with guys too that are like, yeah, let's fucking do that. Yeah. I'm in, and then we took a couple days off and recovered.
Right.
And so it's not so that's where I see it. It's like I've always been in that vein of like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Mm-hmm. We all have a good time if we collectively take care of each other, and then we're gonna be successful.
Yeah.
You got 10 ideas, I got 10 ideas, 7 are the same. Let's do those 7 ideas together.
Right.
But it's amazing how common sense that is, but how that absolutely doesn't happen. It's really rare.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the operation that you're trying to run is a lot more cooperative than the top-down leadership that you hear in a bunch of corporate bullshit jobs.
Exactly. Right. And it's definitely cooperative, but it's also like creating that community too. Like,
she's pissed. She probably needs to piss. and she's not doing it in the bottle because you guys are here.
Yeah, for me too, it's like we're trying to create that community, and I think that's actually why we're getting a lot of business. It's people are actually appreciating that that all of us are willing to kind of say like, no, be a part of this process, because you're investing like, $20, $30, $40, $50, $80, $90, $100,000. Like, that's a big fucking thing. And yeah, we'll take your keys and give you a van in 3 months that you sight unseen. But so many people have been like on YouTube and Instagram and watching videos for like a year before they even buy a van. And then they spend another year once they got the van trying to figure out all the things that they want to do. And I mean, the people that we just picked the van up for up in the Hollywood Hills, I mean, that lady's been doing 3 years of research.
Holy crap.
So she had her list of stuff. And there was stuff sourced on like her sourcing guide. Yeah. There was stuff sourced on there that I was just like, where did you find this? I've been trying to find that for like the last 2 years,
Crazy.
And so, yeah, it's kind of cool.
Is that going to be like a super detailed,
that one's going to be
build?
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. But mostly because we're, what's going to be fun about that is like between my buddy Bryn, who works for us, Tim and myself, we all have artist brains, and that one in particular is going to be like artists, Yeah. The other one that we have at the shop right now that's being worked on, that one's also going to be kind of, she's sort of given us full leeway to just be like, okay, just make it look really cool, and this is kind of the boundaries that I want. This lady kind of did the same thing. She gave me all these color swatches of what she likes, and I wanted to go to her home and spend time with her and her husband to kind of
feel them out. Yeah.
And look around their house and see what their style was. And most builders will be like, you have option A, B, C.
Sure.
No, we can't implement your bunk bed design.
Right.
So I think.
Oh yeah, he's gonna eat some of this, and it's okay. It comes out the other end usually.
Yeah. But yeah. So in that aspect of it, I think it's gonna be really cool. But
yeah. Rad. Well, what else? You got anything you need to get off your chest, Tim?
No.
I was hopeful there for a second.
Trying to think.
You get a little rant about something. Cool. Well, thank you guys for coming on and doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, it's been fun.
I look forward to. Oh, how big is your facility?
It's not that big.
Is it in Portland?
It is. We have room for basically one van in the shop.
Okay.
But then we have room outside for 5 if we really squeeze. Yeah. So So our parking lot's going to be full when we get back.
Right.
But, and then I'm trying to expand into the space next door. We're at this weird, 10 acres of kind of almost like an industrial maker space. So there's, boat guys building old wood sailboats, and then there's guys doing metal sculpture and
Burning Man guys,
people making theatrical sets.
That's probably a cool environment to be in most of the time.
Yeah, it's
annoying
awesome.
sometimes too. Right?
Yeah, and it led me to meet Tim as well, because he was down there kind of dinking around with his stuff, and there's some bus builders down there, and people building tiny homes. And
what's the status of your van right now?
I just got all the solar hooked up before I came down here. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much all I need is some cabinets basically built, and it's 100% livable, I think.
So we passed through Portland in early August. We only stayed there for one night, and this van's pretty stealth, and so we can kind of get away with staying one night pretty much anywhere. But we were only there for a night, and so I didn't get a feel for what the scene is there. I know Jared has spent some time up there, and I know some other people who have spent a little bit more time up there. What's the local community attitude towards the van thing?
I'd say pretty welcoming.
Really?
I mean, they have very relaxed car camping laws, and so you can kind of spot out people being parked in a place for a while. That person's living in their car for sure.
Yeah.
It's like anywhere on the West Coast, really. I mean, you have various levels. So you'll have the Honda Civic that has got a hoarder in it, and has got the homeless situation happening outside the car. And you got the meth zombie Winnebagos, where they're drilling holes in people's gas tanks and siphoning out gas. And then you got the people who are working full time.
Sorry.
People that are working full time and living out of their vehicle, and then you have the travelers.
But the house dwellers. That's sort of my question.
It depends on where you are. Just
it's
anywhere.
neighborhood to
neighborhood to neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, if Jared, for instance, got knocked out of Beaverton. Well, that's family burbs.
Suburbs.
Yeah, family burbs.
Yeah. But if you're
nice
just
houses.
not in anyone's way and you're just going noticeable, no one cares.
And as you know too, just don't park in the same place for a week.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Cool.
But yeah, generally it's pretty cool up there.
It's pretty relaxed, yeah.
Yeah, it's really lax. And there's a few places that are private property that are actually public spaces. So you'll find it right next to us is a park that's privately owned, but it's a public space, public boat ramp, and a large parking lot. So we'll get a lot of people there. But the city does, after 3 or 4 days, they'll come down and knock on your door and kind of hey, you've been here for...
This is enough.
You've been here for a while. Why don't you move on? So,
cool.
Yeah, kind of cool in that regard.
I liked Portland. I hope to get back.
It's super fun. You guys should come up.
Yeah. Good beer in Portland.
Yeah.
That's one of our big priorities. Do you have anything, bud, that you wanted to ask? I've just been dealing with the peanut butter and the dog most of the time.
No, it's just interesting. I don't know anything about building vans, but I think what's really wonderful about it is that you get to customize your own space, and so it must be cool to get to do it for other people to make their vision happen.
Yeah, and just seeing how excited they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim can tell you, the lady we just left.
She kissed her van goodbye.
Oh, super excited.
And then stood in her driveway and
just take pictures of us leaving.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest or funkiest thing you've put into a van?
Man,
I don't know.
Not so much since I've started doing the business, but when I was doing some of the other stuff, we ended up doing this full. It was a band bus. So we had to put like a dining area that was big enough to host 5 or 6 people.
Oh, wow.
But then that dining area had to convert into like bunks, and then that had to convert into like a practice zone, and then that had to convert into like a place where they could get all dressed and do makeup and all that kind of stuff. So
wow.
Please tell me it was guar.
Yeah, I know, right? So it wasn't so much the that it was a weird or strange thing as much as it was you had to transform.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, it's total Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
But yeah, no really strange things.
Crazy.
There's things that people ask me to do that I'm like, wow, that's probably not going to work. Like I had one lady that was like, I really want to have like a bathtub in the back of the van that I can fill up so that I can like pull up to a beach and take a bath. And
you call exhibit because this is not in my ride.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know about that one.
Exactly. And it's so funny too because I want to, because I'm an artist and just someone that's like generally stoking other people out. I want to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
But then there's some things that people are like, yeah, that's probably
not gonna happen.
Well,
We're not gonna do that.
Limos with like hot tubs in the back.
They're totally
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Like that's
Again,
like
no, call exhibit.
But yeah,
Call exhibit.
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's definitely. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like a bathtub's like what, like 50 gallons?
How much is that
20, 30 gallons?
So crazy.
So you'd have to carry another like 40 gallons of water plus, that's a lot.
That's a lot of weight. Yeah.
Yeah, and you need
get really
you need to be
messy.
able to like put some sort of Tupperware lid on top of it if you're going to drive with it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
'Cause
You
it's
just
sloshing around all over the
Or
place.
just something,
flood your home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So it's definitely I'm of the guys that everyone was put on this earth to kind of make me laugh. And so what's hilarious is trying to not just outwardly laugh when someone suggests something,
Sure.
and then kind of be like, okay, how can I talk this down as a ridiculous idea without making them feel like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's kind of fun to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you're a businessman too, so you don't want to piss the person who might give you some money off either.
Yeah, I mean, but there's certain things that I'm also 46 years old, so I'm at a place in my life where there's some shit that I just won't put up with
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
And so if the customer is always right is not an adage that I
Sure.
really believe
Not
in.
a true statement.
It is not a true statement. The fact is that there's assholes and there's not assholes. So, it's like you got to kind of be like, yeah, you're an asshole. So we are not going to do that.
Brian was telling me the same thing earlier today. He's like, that's the great thing about the yoga mat guy that I was telling you about. He's like, I own my own business, and sometimes people on Amazon will be like, I ordered this a day and a half ago and it's not here. And he's like, refund. You're not the kind of customer I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Goodbye. You know?
Yeah, I've gotten pretty good at vetting this last like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And in fact, I just had a call yesterday where the person was saying like, okay, I want all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, what's your timeline? And she's like, I need it in 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, where do you live? And she's like, I live in Toronto, Canada. And I was sort of like, yeah, it's probably not for me.
You need a builder in Toronto, Canada who's on meth.
Yeah.
Started 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, and can you do the whole thing for, $12,000?
Yeah.
So.
No.
Yeah, no, I can't.
She never knew if she didn't ask.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Come with your unreasonable request.
I know.
Yeah,
well,
the
like
worst that can happen is to be told no.
you know, like your face right now, you know, when you said that, it's like that's totally how I am on the phone.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yes, man. Well, you know, there's different ways, but I'm inside. I'm just like, oh my god,
you crazy lady.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Super cool. Well, thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah.
There's a diner around the corner that has chicken fried steak and potatoes for like $4. We're gonna go over there and drink some beers in a little while if you guys want to come with us.
That sounds awesome. So you guys lived here for long times, right? Like,
she grew up really close by, and I moved here first in 2008. So I've been here a while.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So you've been jamming in this area for a while. How long have you lived in this thing now?
September of 2018.
Nice.
Not quite a year and a half, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a year, 4 months.
And you were telling me the other night that you met each other and as you were building this?
Oh, no.
I took him to get the van.
Yeah, I hadn't had a car for like 8 years.
He's like, hey, so... and he'd been obsessing about vans for months and driving me crazy. Just all the time. Every time I went over to his apartment, let's watch van videos. And I'm like, cool. And one day he's just like, yeah, so I think I found the van. Can you drive me to Fontana? Which, if you know where that is, it's like an armpit of California. It's about 2 hours away.
It was July the 4th.
Riverside.
It's 2 hours away, and it was like 105 degrees out there.
And I was like, I really like this guy. I guess I can do that.
Nice.
No, but we had been dating for probably 3 or 4 months or something like that when I got the van, and probably 7
A little longer than that.
or something, just a few months
A lot of people
when we
be like
moved in.
scared away if it's just like you meet them and you're like, I'm gonna live in a van. It's like, you're insane.
Well,
Yeah,
you know.
he developed the idea. He'd already hooked me in,
Yeah,
and
there
then
you
he
go.
started talking about it. And I was like, well, guess this is where we're at.
I was not
And
calculating.
you
I was
know,
just obsessing.
I guess part of my brain knew that I was gonna like it, because I do really like it.
We're having a
we
really
look
good
forward
time
to
in
the
here.
next one, and
Yeah.
I look forward to being more a part of the process of the build and design in the next one, because it was more of a sounding board for him last time.
Colette
Yeah.
figured a lot of the little tricks out too, though. And she did the upholstery,
Nice.
cushions and denim and stuff.
It was the first upholstery job I'd ever done, so maybe it'll be nicer second time around. But
Well, definitely
fun.
come up. And
Yeah, we'll hit you up when we come through. I want to see the shop.
Come through in the summer.
Yeah.
It's pretty terrible right now.
Yeah.
We were there in August? Beginning of August last year.
That's a good time.
It was
August
kind of hot,
4th?
but it was nice.
Yeah.
Wasn't too bad.
Well, I mean, like, bring your 136 up there, and then we can just, like, open the shop up to you, and you can just build it out of the shop.
Damn, that's something. I honestly, I hope to have it finished before I'm allowed to go up to Portland because I have some commitments. But I might take you up on that if the van doesn't materialize before like July or something.
If you figure out how to put a hot tub in it, let us know.
Yeah.
We're gonna need a longer van, bud.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll live.
Yeah, you just do the blue tarp hot tub, you know.
There you go. Yeah.
That's
Just have it up on top of your rig, and then you plop it down, fill it up with water.
Perfect.
that sounds like a great thing to put on top of the solar panels on my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Nothing could possibly go wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's drink a beer.
Sweet.
Cheers.